Hey guys, this is Shels from Let's Talk About the Music. Okay, this is going to be episode 21. We are legal age of 21. Woo, woo. Alrighty, so tonight we're going to be talking to Buzz and Loaded is a band here in Tacoma, Washington, and in Yakima, I do believe. They're kind of split in two places. Anyway, and so I met them through a good friend of mine, Heidi. She does Alley Cat Chat, another podcast out there. Anyway, and so I brought them on the show. They were on the reboot. They were on the LTATM reboot podcast about 10 years ago during COVID time, and I shut it down a little later. But this one's going to keep going. I like this version of the talk show. Anyway, so they're going to be on the show, and their topic is on AI music. Okay? And we went over the intro and then the history of the of AI, how long it's been going. You guys know that it was started in 1950s. I think it was an accident. I'll tell more into the show. So Buzz and Loaded is a fabulous band. Great. They're old rock and roll, trying to be working as a tradition. Bringing back old country twang or whatnot in some of their music. They got a new band that they're forming that actually does the old-fashioned country twang. So anyway, we'll know more about that in the interview. So again, this is me asking, hey, if you like the show, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that button because you'll know when I'm coming out with new content. And if you are listening to the podcast, hit that little star or that heart button and let me know that you are listening and liking the show. Okie dokie. All right. So, and that's oh, and also remember, I'm doing a survey. The survey is probably going to go on until like June. So you have time, but go ahead and make that survey. Again, I'll have the code here on YouTube where you can just pause the thing real quick. Pause it. Pause the YouTube channel, and take the code. And then if you gotta go to Let's Talk About the Music or LTATM, it's right there above the podcast section on top of the page. Okay. All right. Now, what else want to tell you guys? Oh, my store. My store is going to be opening up at the end of April, early May. I'm having a little bit of issues with this, so I have someone to help me out with it. So in the middle of April, they're coming on to help me out with it. Also, I'm working on a members only podcast. So if you are interested, sign up for the newsletter and you guys will get a first dibs on the membership only podcast. Okay. Now, one more thing I've been doing on YouTube called LTATM Community Connections. This is where I connect and promote music, creativity all over the world. And I've been doing one in Virginia, and I did a couple ones here in Tacoma. So if you're out there and want me to promote your music community, let me know and I'll be happy to help. Okay. All right. Further ado, let's get into the interview. Again, this is Buzz and Loaded, and we are going to talk about AI music. Okay? All right. Ready, Papa Satch? All right, guys. Hit it. I like that one.
Let's talk about the music. Let's talk about the band. Let's talk about the music. Let's talk about the sound. Let's talk about the music. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the music. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the music. All around.
Hey guys, it's Shels here for Let's Talk About the Music. This is episode 21. We are a legal age of 21 and I am drinking water.
I have mystery liquids.
Mystery liquids. So now I want to go get my wine, which I just told you I don't drink on wine anymore on the show, but now I want to go get it.
I've got mysterious flammable liquids here as well.
Wow. Looks like he shot a zombie.
And who I have on the show right now, I have Buzz Loaded. And before we get to know who our guest is, we gotta go through the history and my opening of my show. So I'll bring my little script around so that way I can read it. All right, you guys ready? Here
I'm
we go
ready.
through the script. Welcome to Let's Talk About the Music, the podcast where we dive into the heart of the music scene, the good, the bad, and downright fantastic. Tonight we're stripping the night of Twilight Zone music creation, the AI generation music.
Ooh,
Yeah, we're talking about computer writing, producing, even the singing full songs. In this dawn of new age era, creative era, or is AI coming for your favorite musicians' jobs? I got two talented musicians here tonight to break down and share their take on their growing phenomena. Now let's get into it. Now, quick history, quick history of the AI music.
yes.
See, this goes back into the 1950s. A
Wow.
guy named Ledger Hiller used computers to help compose classic pieces. It was a basket. It was a basic a kickoff the idea of machine making music. And
Very
then in
cool.
1980s, what's that?
Very cool. I didn't think it went that far back.
I didn't either. In the 1980s and 90s, we saw early music, MIDI tech emerging, letting computers help with music composing and still needing lots of human help, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey,
And then
Buzz and I need a lot of human help too.
we all. And then in the 2010s, machines learning to kick things into a higher gear, platforms like OpenAI, Jukebox, Google Magna, Amplify Music, AIVA, starting to let people create full-on tracks, beats, melodies with just a few inputs. Now it has grown bigger.
Uh,
AI generated vocals are blowing up. People are cloning voices of real artists like Drake and The Weeknd, dropping in AI tracks to get it visual. Some artists are impressed, or some of them are freaking out.
yes.
So that's what our topic is tonight is AI music. And I've been seeing it too. Did some research and I did watch a guy on YouTube. I should give him a plug, but I'll do it in my blog about it. He went through all the different companies that went with it. It was kind of frightening, but cool at the same time,
Oh yeah.
you know? And so let's get to know who our my guests are. They're Buzz Loaded. We got Rob and Buzz here,
Yep.
and we're gonna get to know who these guys are, and then we are gonna dive into their questions and a conversation about AI music. Ready?
Yes. I
All
am.
right. So, all right. So, who wants to go first?
Nope.
Buzz.
You're it,
Okay, you got.
Buzz.
All right, Buzz. You go first. Go 3 to 5 minutes. Who are you? What do you do for the band? And what's your inspiration?
Yeah, I'm Buzz, and I am the drummer for Buzzed and Loaded. I don't know if that's really a musician or not, but at least I get to hang out with musicians once in a while. And I've been playing honestly for good God, 50 years now, and all kinds of genres. I've played country bands, I've played hard rock bands, metal kind of stuff, and I've played like from Alaska to Australia and back, and played all over the place. I love live performance. I love writing, love recording,
Yeah.
and let's see. Rob and I have had Buzzed and Loaded going about 5 years now,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
and album number 3 just came out, and it just keeps rolling along, getting better. And I'm just a musician, lifelong guy, and when I see these computer generated things come along, of course, I always go, what the hell is this? It's like, there's no heart, there's no soul. It can't molest groupies or get arrested at 3 a.m. This is just not right. It's not
I
moral.
don't know if that's a pro or con, though. It depends on the night and depends on the person I'm with. Like when Buzz and I are in Nashville together, we've been to a few award shows down there together. It's always mayhem, especially if we hit like Kid Rock's establishment and start drinking all the blue Hawaiian drinks.
Oh
And
dear,
then
yes.
we meet one-legged prostitutes, and we're normally poor by that point of the night anyways, so that's a moot point. But it's interesting, I've learned tonight that Buzz only plays countries or places that start with the letter A, from Alaska to Australia and
An
maybe
American.
Austria. America.
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 It's obviously some kind of weird personality flaw I've got.
Yeah, he's an A type personality.
I see that. I see that.
Yeah.
Or
But
anything else you want to add to Buzz before we go down to Rob's introductions?
What was that?
Anything else you want to add to your introductions before we get
Uh,
out to Rob?
nope, nope. I think I'll let Rob let us know who he is. Take it away, buddy.
Well, hang
okay.
on a minute. Hang on a minute, Rob. Hang on a minute, Rob. Buzz, what is your inspiration to be a musician? Who inspires you to be a drummer?
Oh, you know what? When I was a kid, of course, I saw the Beatles on the Ed
Of
Sullivan
course.
show, and I was like maybe I don't know 6. I was pretty young, and of course I was like, "This is great." Watching them play, and the entire crowd just screaming. You couldn't even really hear the band for all the screaming going on and people fainting and passing out. And Ringo was sitting behind the drum set looking just hella cool and looking like he was having way too much fun. And I was like, that's it right there. That's what I want to do. And
Awesome.
and and I think part of the other thing too is I grew up over in central Idaho on the Nez Perce Indian Reservation. And so I was always going to the powwows and stuff, and the drums just really just talked to me. I always wanted to be a drummer.
Nice. All
Yeah.
right.
So
Cool.
I started when I was 10 and just kept going.
Nice. All right. All right, Rob. I saw you have a novel for your introduction. So, what are you reading to us about yourself?
Rob, read this. My name is Rob. I'm from Canada, and I started out as a drummer like Buzz until an unfortunate forklift accident ended my drumming career
Oh
prematurely.
no.
I had my legs crushed, but I'm okay. I
Yeah,
can
I'm
uh, lift.
glad.
I can lift a keg of beer still with no issues. So that I'm still doing good. But I grew up in a family that was really diverse musically. We had 7 siblings and 2 parents, maybe 3 on a good day. We did have everything playing from old Mario Lanza, the Harry Belafonte, all the way to bands like Boston. And every sibling had a different genre of music, and we always had it going. We always played it at dinner times, family get-togethers. My dad played spoons and a juice harp and had a harmonica collection. And I started out drumming on lampshades with pens until my Bic pen exploded all over my mom's antique lampshade. Then they said, okay, you're 15, time to get you a real drum set. So I got my first Blue Sparkle no name drum set, had one cymbal, had one hi hat, and one. I probably had it for less than 6 weeks when trying to impress girls that were over,
Of
playing music with
course.
with some of my friends. I couldn't find my drumsticks, so I played with a set of hammers from my dad, and I completely destroyed my hi-hats and my cymbals. They were all wavy by the time I was done, but it looked cool. It looked cool, and
Yeah,
I got kissed. So I guess
a
there I was
lot.
hooked right there. Music, girls, and snuck in beer. That's the way I'm living my life, and I've been playing ever since. And I switched over to. I ended up being the singer in every band because the singers never showed up for rehearsal, and because I could be in key, I never wanted to be a lead singer. But every band within 3 4 months, I was the lead singer, and I always loved guitar, but I grew up in an era where everyone was like Eddie Van Halen or something. So I was a little intimidated in trying to pursue it back then. But now we got a lot of good music between Buzzed and Loaded, and I'm in another band called Fluffer. But Buzz, we have a new project coming out, and it's in the Buzzed theme with everyone that's in Buzzed and Loaded. It's we're going back to do throwback like 1950s and 1960s country music that our parents grew up on.
Wow.
And we are called Old Drunken Buzzards. And we got a website up, and we've written about 8 songs, and we're going to have an EP out by the end of the year, and we're just using traditional instruments, and it's going to sound like it's the late 50s, early 60s all over again. So we're
Wow.
going, so you kind of see where
You're
my
going way,
stance on
yeah,
AI is going.
you're going backwards.
I'm going backwards, but I've always gone backwards in my life.
It's
I
good
think
to
that
know.
started as a dare, but we just took it and ran.
Yeah, it started off as a dare, and we've written some really good songs, and it's totally out of our normal genre. I went a month without having distortion on my guitar. I nearly had to go to rehab to get over that. And we've had a lot of fun, and even last night watching a Dateline Murder, I came up with a real happy country lick, and I was playing it for Buzz today. So they're discovering the body all mangled, all cut up 37 times. Oh, I got this happy lit, like real happy time. so,
You never
so
know when they come, so you just grab it and go.
Oh, absolutely. But we have actually we're going to do a heavy PR on our latest Buzzed and Loaded album, Medication Nation, this summer. And we already have 20% of the next Buzzed and Loaded album written and ready to go. So that will come out probably in the spring, summer of next year. So we're keeping busy, and we're planning to, in between each, put out a 5 6 song EP of Old Drunken Buzzards. So you're going to hear the
Nice.
arena rock of Buzzed and Loaded, and then the 50s, honky tonkin', early rock and rollin' Old Drunken Buzzards.
Yep.
Wow.
Empty bottles
Yep.
and broken hearts.
Yes. And my influences, I grew up in an era where, even listening to all my siblings' music, I was at that perfect age. I was like 8 to 10 when the band Kiss became super huge. So that were bigger than life. So every member of Kiss has influenced me into what I am today. So that would be the first band that I was into. I used to stand in front of the mirror with a tennis racket, pretend to be Ace Frehley, and do solos. And then I got the pens to be Peter Criss, destroying stuff all over the living room. And here I am today, just destroying stuff in my own house now instead of my parents.
Nice. It's so interesting that you say about Kiss because I actually wanted to be a radio announcer when Chris Kiss decided to take off their makeup and start playing. I remember that era. And everyone was like, no, put it back on, put it back on. I remember, so I remember that song was it? Um we will something will rock you. I should look it up now, but anyway, that song in the 80s, I want to look it up now. But that song came out, that's when they did not wear their makeup, they didn't do, and then started really rocking, and then they're all telling them to put it back on, put it back on.
Well, it was really weird seeing them without it because they went through such lengths to hide their identity. Where Buzz and I are, we're shameless whores. We want you to see our face, no matter how subjective our beauty might be.
Right. Now I'm trying to look for it. Right, everything looked like you. Charisma, I stole your love. Nah, it came out in the early 80s of Kiss. And it was really heavy duty. It's what I got into shout it out loud. Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts. I'll
You
figure
know
it out.
what? It will come to you at 4 a.m. in a
Yeah,
fever dream.
possibly because that is the song that I actually got into Kiss. Is that right there? Yeah, I'll figure it out later, and then
Okay,
I'll text you about it.
perfect. I don't want to be hanging here.
Right, right. Okay, so all right, and I'm Shels. If you guys don't know about this, this is my podcast. I've been doing
Mhm.
this for 10 years. I want to become a podcaster at an early age, around actually a radio announcer. And then now I'm doing my own podcast. This show's been going on for 10 years. Took 6 years off to go get my education. And now here I am back doing it again with my education.
Well, at least
And
you
I
have it. We had to pretend that we could read.
I see that novel. I see that novel. And this show is going to be on audio, where you can listen. People can listen to your podcast, and then 3 days later, it'll be on YouTube, where everyone can see your beautiful faces.
Fucking heartbreakers we are.
Yes, you
Oh,
are a little heartbreaker. Just a little cheekies there. All right. So your guys' conversation you guys want to talk about was AI music.
yes.
Now, I do have questions. When you first heard of AI generation songs, what was your first reaction?
Well, I remember I was hearing where it was the music but no vocals. And when it was no music and just the vocals, I thought, oh, that's interesting. But then the first time I heard a song with vocals, it seemed a little glitchy, and you could tell right away that it was artificial music. But when it was music on its own, it was interesting. Anything new, like I mean, I had one of the first Atari video game systems, so I was
Wow.
always like whenever something new came out, my sister had the first PC of anybody we knew. So she had a Commodore 64 or something like that. So my family has always been into the latest gadgets and everything. And so when AI came along, I kind of was listening and wondering, well, how it affects me. And at the very beginning, I didn't feel very much threatened by it, but it certainly progressed. Just last weekend, I listened to uh, a pair of gentlemen, and they were recreating what would be a lost Beatles album. So
Oh,
they had sampled what would be John Lennon's voice, Paul's voice, George, and they created music all in one day. So they created it using AI and using the AI vocals in a 24-hour period, a 12-song album from scratch. They had nothing going in, and it was super interesting to see. But in the end, the once again the vocals just are disjointed. The music seemed like it was something off of Abbey Road, but the vocals seemed like it was almost like coming from an old transistor radio. But
hmm.
overall, it was interesting to watch, but it's not something I knew we were going to talk about this, so I wanted to have a frame of mind of what's happening right now with it. So that's like my distant, like looking in on YouTube on it. But I had a personal experience where acquaintance of ours passed away at a very young age, and a friend created an AI generated sea shanty, which he loved, in his honor, and said, okay, I want the music to sound like this and lyrics to be based on this. Well, he's a music teacher and a very well known music teacher here in the Yakima Valley. And I was really shocked when it was first sent to me. I'm there, wow, this is amazing. I didn't know it was AI, but then when I found out it was AI and I went back and gave it a more, what I would say, a more concentrated listen, you could definitely tell. Once again, the AI vocals were better than what I've have heard, but you could tell it almost sounded like really fake auto tuning that you can hear sometimes, so you
Mhm.
could definitely tell. But the music itself and the lyrics that they created in his honor, they it was something. So if I was listening quick on the fly, I would think that he did it himself, and he's a really good singer, and that's why I was shocked that maybe he didn't just have the music made and then sing himself on it. But nonetheless, it was a passable song, and it was done for good intentions for a young man who passed away too soon. So that's my
Okay.
take and my experiences. So I would say where AI originally didn't hit me in any kind of feeling emotional way, this, because I knew the person who passed away and listening to the lyrics, it kind of got me in the feels a little more. But overall, that's been my experience with AI. I haven't like super sought it out. And I've been listening and I've been watching, especially on Facebook, social media. I'm friends with probably 1,500, 1,600 other musicians. And it's really interesting to see their take on it. And if I had to say one way or the other, I would say probably 85% of them are dead set against it.
Yeah.
So,
There's a lot of people against the AI, period.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Buzz, what about you?
Well, yeah, it seems like there's a lot of gray area as far as legalities, as far as copyright and your
Yeah.
ability to say, hmm, I think I want James Brown to be singing this new song for me. Or,
Yeah.
I want Lionel Richie or whoever, I want Mick Jagger. I'm going to sample Mick Jagger and he's going to sing Three Little Pigs on my new album. There's a
Ooh,
lot of
good
gray
idea.
area of things you can do that you probably shouldn't be doing.
Right?
And
And I know that a lot of Hollywood actors, this is a big thing. They sent something to Donald Trump in the White House mentioning that they feel an infringement from the artificial intelligence headquarters in San Jose, down in Silicon Valley. They feel that it really, by sampling their voices and being able to animate people the way they
right.
can now, the history, we won't have like the next superstar movie star, because it's cheaper for production costs just to use a voice that's kind of familiar to you and a face that's kind of familiar to you.
I,
Yeah,
I remember there was a handful of Hollywood people talking out recently that in their contracts there was clauses that the studio would own their voice and their
Yes.
likeness and could use it however they wanted. And so they were very concerned, saying, oh, that's going to just completely take me out of getting to be in movies and whatnot. And they're just going to snipe my voice and my image and computer generate this crap and make whatever they want.
Yeah.
And I'm out in the cold.
Yeah. And
well,
go ahead, Shells.
well, the thing is just like I know a lot of actors are concerned about it because they who had on strike over it like
Yeah.
2, 3 years ago. Even my friend Ty, who's a voiceover, he couldn't even get any kind of work because of that strike. But the thing is, there is good things and there are bad things having AI generation because look at Val Kilmer. He's able to act again. and he
Yeah,
lost his voice during throat cancer. So he's able to
yeah,
come back and do Top Gun again with Tom Cruise. He is now
yeah.
looking to go back to Willow and work on Willow the series now. So without the AI recreating his voice, he's able to act again.
Right.
And and I agree with you there, but that is such a what I would say talk about one percenters that would fall
Right.
into to that because I remember when John Candy had passed away, they hadn't finished shooting the movie Wagons West, I think it
I
was,
remember that.
so they ended up using like B-roll footage of them and just pieced together bits of dialogue that were cut from the scenes. And that was, that was pretty big back then. But I went and saw the Top Gun Maverick and was really touched knowing because I watched the Val Kilmer documentary and I was really interested to see how they were going to do it. AI in that circumstance, perfect. It's just like when my wife had a knee replacement a few years ago. They use what's called a Mako surgery machine. It's like a shark, but they were able to cut her healing time probably by 40% because it makes such precise cuts. So stuff like that. If the doctor's there overseeing everything, but it's actually the machine cut. So it's going to be a perfect cut. Mind you, I just had my grandchild and we watched the first two Terminator movies together. So you could imagine that, trusting artificial intelligence. And we watched War Games and other movies together
Yeah.
and he's of that young age where he wants to throw back. He wants to go back to what it was like in the 60s, 70s, and 80s after seeing all what how we were raised and everything. He feels that with stuff like the artificial intelligence, where it can maybe increase even some more free time for you because in the studio you can have songs mixed and mastered by AI while you're creating more music. So there's a positive there. But I painstakingly mix and master our stuff, and it could be 6 hours per song, listening how it sounds like in the car, in my earbuds, in high quality headphones, in old fashioned speakers. And I have to find a balance people consume music mainly on their phones, on their
Right.
Bluetooth. So, I don't think AI produced and mastered stuff is really going to matter on that. But for the strict audio files out there who are, oh man, that's 2 megahertz of bass too much or whatever, you still have to mix it kind of in between for everyone. So AI, as you said, especially for Val Kilmer, I mean he would never been able to do the movie, and it was a pivotal scene in the movie. So, spoiler
Yeah.
alert.
And
Uh,
yeah, I never got to see it. I do want to see it only because of that. And I love
yes,
Val
and,
Kilmer.
and and you'll get back to me and go, "Oh, you're right." Without that scene in the movie, it loses some of its retro charm of
Right.
Maverick
Right.
and Goose and the Iceman and all that,
Right. Right.
so I see a place for it, but for us, we purposely try to make music the way they did in the 1970s, early 80s, just because we have modern stuff, but we try to record it the same way they did in the same style. And I think for us, that's what makes us stand out a little when we're up. Every album we've done have been nominated to for us to go to Nashville at the for the biggest independent music awards. And I think that's what makes us stand out. If we have a retro feel, do it yourself, retro feel, everything is not perfect. Everything, it more about the feel and so something like AI wouldn't really jive with what we do.
Right.
That would take some of the soul of what we do away.
interesting. Buzz, let's continue hearing from you because we got to start talking about Val Kilmer. We kind of cut you off. So, what is your do you feel threatened with the AI at all?
I don't really feel terribly threatened by it. I think it's kind of having a heyday. People who otherwise wouldn't be able to write music can sit down there and put a song together.
Yeah.
And it almost to me is like, remember a few years ago when they did that Ronnie James Dio tour using a
Oh,
hologram?
Yep, yep.
yeah.
Ronnie James Dio on stage with a hologram, and it's like that's what it reminds me of. Is like it's a person, but sort of real, yeah, maybe. But yeah, the AI stuff I have heard and listened to seems like, yeah, it just is homogenized and does not have the passion or I guess the human touch to it. And
Yeah.
some of the vocal things, I was like, oh, is that Siri doing the singing there?
Or my GPS.
Or yeah,
Yeah.
the lady in the GPS that yells at me when I drive past my exit? Probably her. And and I was looking at, AI mastering things that are out there, and it says perfectly masters your songs in less than 10 seconds. And I'm thinking, how the hell can it do that? Because as Rob was saying, people listen to music, in earbuds or in their car or whatever. I mean, how the hell can it just say, okay, this is going to be the mix and that's it? It's just done. I don't get it.
Yeah, I was looking up. I was trying to look for the gentleman I watched yesterday to get some research on this, and I can't seem to find him. But anyway, he was actually using the thing called Sony, SUNO,
Right.
and he was having someone have the computer try to sing a cat or a dog song, like I'm the best dog in the world or whatever, and they actually made singing out of it, and he changed the rhythm. One was country, one and then turned to cats, and that cats were like heavy metal, and so it was interesting just to watch him play with it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was a very interesting. And of course, I use Chat GTP for a tool on things. So I would ask my Chat PTI, "Hey, do you sing?" She goes, "No."
Not
Is
yet.
no, no. She goes, "I can write you songs. I can do the melody, but no, I cannot sing." I go, "You sure?" Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, it, I don't know. It just seems like it just opens up doors and windows for plagiarism lawsuits and,
Yeah,
you know,
Can
yeah,
stealing intellectual property and, borrowing other people's stuff, like I remember when a lot of the mainstream rap stuff started getting out there and they were taking samples from like Kiss and the Rolling Stones and whatnot. Some of them were, above board and saying, yeah, I stole this, I stole that drum intro from Kiss, Christine 16, and I stole that from Queen, and I stole that from the Rolling Stones. And then there was others going, no, man, I did it all in the studio myself. And people are going, yeah, I don't think so. And then it winds up in
yeah.
court.
Right, right,
or,
right.
or like Vanilla Ice going, honest, Your Honor, I've never heard Queen and David Bowie doing Under Pressure. I really never have.
I have to sit there and listen to it. There is a very, very small extinguished difference between Vanilla Ice and uh, Pressure. Okay, there is a
oh, it's a
and
little, yeah.
Vanilla Ice is more dingy. And when I hear that song, I turn that. Nope, no. If I have any of my friends saying that, like, shut up. I don't want to hear it. Go in the other room.
See,
That is
it's like
denied in my world.
I in my other band Fluffer years ago, about a decade ago, we did the Tone Loc cover of Wild Thing, which of course is Jamie's Crying by Van Halen. And it was real fun and interesting to do. So that was fun. But there's some things like when all of a sudden you're able to bring back a John Lennon demo and turn it into a
Yeah.
full-fledged song by eliminating everything. When I die, I have hundreds of songs, and the ones you don't hear for a reason. It's just not as good as the other songs. And as much as I love and respect the Beatles, that song that they won a Grammy for, it will. I don't know if I could swear or not, but it was crap. It was dog crap. John Lennon would not. Uh, he would be pretty PO'd that that came out after his death. And it's cool for the fans. I get that.
Right.
But as an artist, uh, and I use that term on myself very loosely. There's stuff that I don't want anyone else to hear. And I wish I could scrub it from the internet some days, but I know it's somewhere out there. And when the Terminators rise up and make us all bow down before them, yep, they'll play my crappy song. That will be your new anthem. My crappy song. It's called what was it? Oh, I can't even remember it right now, but it is, I assure you, it is the crappiest song I've ever written, and I don't even know why I finished it. But it's out there somewhere.
It's kind of like, when you die and they're going through your stuff and they find your naughty little diary and then decide to
Uh-huh.
start publishing it page by page. Oh, look at the stuff he was thinking.
Well, my sister told me today that oh, all of our dead relatives are around us all the time, and I said, not when I shower, though, right? They give me the dignity. I don't want to be there, and my Aunt Betty's still going in wanting to see if I'll have a cup of tea with her. No, no, no. No, no, not when I'm on that website. No, I'm on that website. Family, get out of the room.
I do hope they're a little more selective with their eavesdropping.
Oh,
Right,
oh.
right. Alrighty, let's go to number two. Have you tried any, well, Rob, you have. Have you tried any AI music tools like for the beats, the lyrics, FX? How did it feel as a musician using that kind of a tech?
Well, for me, I use it. I'll take when Buzz and I play, every time we play, we record every song, and then I'll take his exact drum parts or as close to it if possible, and I write it out on a program called Hydrogen. Every beat, like on the hi hat, on the bass drum, on the snare, on the cymbal, every beat, and I use that as the bed track for the demos, and then later on I back that out and Buzz's real drums are there. But I don't feel bad because I'm just recreating the magic that Buzz came up with. So I just
Mhm.
have to sit there and take 3-4 hours per song to watch the video and match up as close as possible. And so AI helps me that way. Of course, it originally takes 3 or 4 hours per song to chart out, but I feel that that's a great tool. And then Buzz will come on and he'll play along with what we've recorded, and then the other things out of there. And we have the natural feel and swing of Buzz on the drums. So I can't say I'm totally against AI, but that is not having it create something for me. I'm taking what Buzz created and applying it into the technology. And Buzz heard it's got sampled real drums. And Buzz was saying that the Ludwig snare drum that I have on the songs is just thunderous and as good as his live. So,
Mm.
so it's that, but it's not a tool to create. It's a tool to replicate the original drum master Buzz.
All
Yeah.
right. What about you, Buzz?
I have not played with any AI generating things at all. I'm exceptionally low tech. I I beat things with sticks.
Yes.
That's
Right. I see your drum kit back there. Those
I
who are
beat things with
listening,
sticks. I don't play with computer generated stuff. Um, I was listening to a couple guys not too long ago arguing over, trying to copyright the AI stuff, and I was thinking, man, you guys are gonna be in legal hell at some point, but I just figure I'll let the other guys mess with it, and I'll just do what I do.
there you go. Sounds a good idea. Good plan.
Yes.
All right. Go down to question number 3. Do you think AI can ever truly capture the soul of a music, or will it always be missing that human touch?
I'll go with no for 300, Alex.
Go ahead. Tell us how you feel, Buzz.
And I 1,000% agree with Buzz that there's something special about being in a room with a bunch of guys creating something. So it's not just your soul, it's multiple souls creating.
Right.
Even
Right.
when I come up with a song and the guitar might be done, what Andy will do after, Andy Claus is our bass player. We should introduce him. He's in both
Mm-hmm.
Buzzed and Loaded and Old Drunken Buzzards. And then Buzz, like especially with the Old Drunken Buzzards right now, he pulled out some old country brushes and it inspired me right on the spot. And we have a unique way of doing things. We don't pre come in with any ideas. We write on the spot in our haunted studio. We get the inspiration of the room, which AI will never feel what it feels like to be in a 120-year-old haunted studio. So that's part of what goes on with us. And then just feeding off our energy because it's just Buzz and I together, we've maybe only jammed together 70 times, but we probably created 220 plus songs fully fleshed out on video. We can go back and watch at any time and flesh out into songs for the album. And that AI will never do that. AI will come through an algorithm and go, okay, this is a good melody. These are good words. And here's something good within this genre. But it's almost like why we decided to do old country versus trying to capture the country pop of today. It's because back then it was all new and everyone took it in a little different direction. Hank Williams was different than Johnny Horton, which was different than Johnny Cash. Everybody had their own spin. Where now, if you listen to any modern country station, whether it's on satellite radio, land radio, even Spotify lists. It sounds very, it sounds like,
Generic.
yeah, generic. It sounds like, oh, here's a 1991 era Bon Jovi with a little bit of fiddle and a little
Yep.
bit of steel guitar or something to give it a country flavor. Not to say that there are some modern artists that I think are fantastic, but I think there's too many that fall into a generic ball where you could roll it around the table and so sounds like so and so sounds like so and so.
Yeah.
Where back in the day, everyone had their own, they didn't even have, really a lot of radio. They had the Opry night and stuff like that, but you didn't have a lot of influence. Now, no matter how you consume your music, you are influenced by probably the top 25 bands in that genre, and that kind of wears out onto you where you can't help but interpret that with your own little spin on it. But I think AI is always going to be where they're just going to try to get it perfected to a point that the soul is out of it. Where some of our favorite stuff, oh, there's a little Rob Slid maybe I call it jazz when I go to the wrong fret by accident and get right back to it. But someone told me, oh, no, no, that's not accident. That's jazz. No matter what you're playing, if you hit a note that's not in key, that's jazz. And to make sure that you go back to it one more time so people know that you did it intentionally and it wasn't a
Right.
mistake. So,
Right.
that's you're never going to have a mistake in AI, but sometimes you get very pleasant mistakes.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the cool things about some of the bands we grew up listening to that we love, bands from the 70s, 80s. You listen to the recordings and you go, he just he hit the wrong drum beat right there, but they kept it because it felt right. Or a guitar that's out of tune or something, or John Bonham's squeaky bass drum pedal in Led Zeppelin, but they just run with it, and it's the feel and the soul of the thing.
Yeah. In
And another thing is that the AIs can't go on tour and play the songs live, because I just got on watching the Hot Chili Peppers playing live. It was back in 1980 something, and the lead singer, I can't think of his name on top of my head, so forgive me. Um, he started singing a song. They had no clue where he was going with it. The drummer was like, "What song is this?" The guitarist, the lead guitarist, was just like, I have no idea where we are. Of course, Flea, he just jammed with it, went with it, and then finally everyone started like, okay, whatever, and they still had no clue what song he was singing. Was
yeah.
on the set, and you can't do that with AI.
No.
AI
Unless
will, AI will not be trying to lure girls onto the tour bus.
no. We
This is
we
true.
You
we
know,
leave that to lead singers all around the world.
I I've talked music with my wife works at Trader Joe's, and I've talked music with some of the younger folks that work there because they know I'm in a band, and they are guitar players or whatever, and they're in young 20s, and they seem to think that the wave of the future could indeed be just one guy going on stage and just AI created music behind him, and he's just out there singing, and I'm
Yeah.
like, how boring, how dull is that going to be? You
Yeah.
got one guy out there, and music just coming out of nowhere. That's like karaoke in a damn Chinese lounge somewhere, come on.
Oh, I like
But
Right.
yeah,
karaoke
I
in
guess you're
Chinese
right.
lounges. Hold it. I'm defending Chinese drunkenness and karaoke, but no, I know exactly what you're saying, Buzz.
And it's like,
Right.
I'm like, where's the excitement? You want to see the drummer, throwing his sticks in the air, and the guitar playing, doing windmills and slamming his guitar into the speakers when they piss him off, and it's like, where's the anger? Come on, this ain't working. They're like, yeah, 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 you're kind of right. Yeah.
Alrighty. So okay, we're on number 4. All right. So here's number 4. There's AI now cloning art. Well, we just talked about that not too long ago too. Artists' voices. Do you think that could be a creative playground or a copyright nightmare? We kind of like based on that in the beginning of the show. So, and I want to say something too about the copy,
Okay.
because when uh Carrie Fisher passed away, they had to bring her in there as an AI to finish the movie because she passed away right before
Yeah.
Star Wars finished. So there, like I said in the beginning, there is some good things with AI generation, and there's some stuff you're like kind of questioning about it.
Absolutely.
So, but I know Buzz was talking about the copyright nightmare. Has anyone heard of anyone getting into copyright issues yet?
Not musically per se. I know Paul McCartney was going to sue somebody, but kind of backed off. He doesn't want to be seen like Lars Ulrich when he was going against Napster, because you don't want to be
Oh,
like
okay.
the old guy railing against the world. But sure enough, in a way, Lars has been proven in hindsight that he would correct, that it was going to kill it. Not for him, he was already a millionaire, but for musicians coming up, they wouldn't get the benefit of the music business, good, bad, and very ugly. There was still a chance you could generate some money from your music without always having to tour. Now, these artists, it's all about the meet and greets and the touring, because that's the only place they have. That's their main money generator, and that's why they'll be doing the Monsters of Rock cruises until they're 97 years old. They'll die on their drum kit and then just get dumped into the ocean for the sharks.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
how I personally want to go out. I'm just putting it out here on the internet, on your show today, that I want to die on stage on a Monsters of Rock cruise and then fed to the sharks. There.
Okay.
That's my legal will and testament.
Okay. I will make sure that happens, as if I'm
Perfect.
still around when that happens.
Oh, I'm sure you're much younger than me, so you will be here to fly my flag,
All right.
No,
but not
I
my freak flag. That stays hidden,
Okay.
especially
All
from my
right.
family ghosts.
Okay. All right. All right, Buzz. What about you?
I know that some of the huge major labels like Sony, Universal, and Warner have been suing AI music generators like
Really?
Suno and Udio, because they have been claiming copyright infringement on artists that are signed to their labels.
Okay.
And so there has been a lot of cases go into court and money changing hands. But I don't know. It's like, how do you stop that? I don't think you really can, other than just try to catch it when it happens.
Genie out of the bottle. That's the trouble. It's like when George Harrison was sued by the people who wrote for the Shirelles for My Sweet Lord. And it was based on it was totally the melody of a Shirelles song. And and so he lost probably 60-70% of the generated revenue from that. So I think in a way I'm going to be play the devil's advocate for Sony and all these Geffen and the record labels. They want somebody like, let's say, The Weeknd or Drake to go do something that's going to be massive, billion stream song, and then find something related to one of their artists within that song, because then all of a sudden they did nothing and they'll get to collect, a big percentage of that song's revenue. And when you get to $1 billion, even on Spotify, that will still at least get you a steak dinner. My joke, but it's there's still revenue being generated by these artists, Drake, Weekend, people like that. As a Canadian, I'm always happy for any of my old countrymen to go on and be as successful as they are. But at some point, you're going to have to really, and I think these Hollywood actors are going to lead the charge, because their likeness and their voices are all they have. And if all of a sudden you have some guy in a basement, a good iPhone and a good AI program, 10 years from now, and you could do a blockbuster movie that would be seamless and nobody would be any of the wiser. And those people, all of a sudden, you have the voice of Charlton Heston, or someone like that coming out of some 18-year-old, buff guy running around the jungles of Costa Rica in the latest rom-com zombie vampire flick. And there, it's going to be hard to put the genie back in the bottle. It's out there. It's going
Right.
to happen.
Yeah.
But you're going to be playing catch up. Every
Yeah.
year, it's going to be catch up. And some people are willing to put something out. Let's say you put out a movie like that, it costs you next to nothing. It makes $200 million, and then all of a sudden you have to settle a lawsuit that gives the original actor or studio that owned that actor's contract 25 or $50 million. You're still ahead of the game by
Yeah,
$150 million. So for some people, the blatant ripoff is still worth it.
yeah,
And it's sad because some of my favorite things there are watching like crappy movies where there's a name actor, but it's before where they had to take any role just to get on. Whether it's like one of the early Texas Chainsaw Massacres or probably number 18 or something in the 80s, you had Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey in the same Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie before they were huge actors, huge
right.
names. And, and they get embarrassed about that. But, that's just it. You can't just create something out of nothing, whether it's a music career, a career in banking, or a career in movies. You have to start on the bottom and work your way up. But the trouble with AI is you can steal from the top and work your way down. So
Right.
it's an unfair balance right there where with AI, all of a sudden I can put together a Beatles song just like that, you
I
know.
remember I remember them saying something about AI when it first coming out. It was like like a year or so ago that they can actually generate John Wayne in a movie and have that soon to be actor be moving like John Wayne, but John Wayne will get the credit and the guy who's actually behind the generation will not get that credit because no one knows who
Okay,
he
I'm
is.
fine with that. In See, no, I'm fine with that because A,
Really?
I love John Wayne, but B, it's going to his family since I think he's frozen. I think he's cryogenically frozen. So
Is he
when
really?
they figure, yeah. And so what will happen is in 50 years, if they have a cure for cancer, that's when he's going to get thawed out and he'll be pissed off because he's been frozen for 80 years at that point. But the thing is, he'll have some revenue generated after his death. And I'm fine with if you're creating a movie using a vintage actor's likeness, if their family's getting the vast majority. And I don't think that the people doing it shouldn't make nothing on it either. I mean, they're putting the effort in. So if it was even a 50-50 split on my own personal moral and ethics, I would say that's fine.
I looked it up. John Wayne is not frozen alive.
Ah,
He died in a stomach cancer on July 11, 1979, at the age of 72. So,
See, I took
not.
I get my information not from your technology device. I got it from the lyrics of a Dennis Leary song, video. It had something to do with an a hole, and it was about freezing the Duke, and nothing could be more pissed off than a thought out Duke. So
This
I
is
thought for sure.
true.
I know Walt Disney or somebody famous has just their head frozen.
Yeah. Who was that?
Who was it? I'm going to look it up. I'm
Okay, you
using
look
my
at okay, you look
device.
it up. I'm gonna go to number
Was it
6.
wasn't
Uh,
L. Ron Hubbard cryogenically frozen?
Let's go on to number 6, and I'll look this up, and I'll throw it
all
back
right,
at
all
us.
right, all right. Okay. We're going to number 5. In your opinion, who is going to be the feel the biggest impact? Indie artists or the big names with a massive resources? I already know the answer. Independent musicians.
Oh, always.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're always feeling the capacity or the hit because they're trying to make it where and when people and then they're trying to make it into something then bigger than themselves and they work their butts off and now here comes AI, you know.
Yeah. Oh, and I had a song myself which was out and fairly popular. It had hundreds and hundreds of thousands. The main riff in a video I did had like 700,000 views across a bunch of sites. And all of a sudden, I came home from rehearsal with my band Fluffer, and it was from one of their songs. And in the movie, in the TV show, The Blacklist,
Yeah.
they had the exact riff, like just playing note for note at the same tempo, same key, and during a fight scene. And Karen had taped it and said, "Oh, look at this." And we've even had it from other artists that I've jammed with, and all of a sudden they have a big song out, and oh, that's a song from rehearsal they jammed with me 3 years ago. And now, they're out there and they're big everywhere. They're on the Tonight Show, and I don't want to name them because I don't want to lend any credence to it. And I'm sure it was just
Right.
subliminal. I'm just sure they like the note pattern and everything. But when it's like half of what you wrote, chorus and verse parts, and you go, hmm. But with AI, I think we're going to have a situation where people are not going to care. A generation from now, as less and less people are playing music organically, or maybe still playing a version of Rockstar on a video game or something like that. But I think people are just going to be willing to accept. Let's face it, people are willing to accept anything that they're told is good. And
Yeah.
whether it's politically on either side, whether it is, sometimes people go, "Oh my God, this is the best movie I've ever watched," and I'll pay the $5 to rent it on Amazon or whatever. And 20 minutes in, and this won an Academy Award. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
and then I'll watch something that no one's watched and go, "Holy crap, that's ingenious." And so I think AI, if people just start going through there's already radio stations that are just going to be nothing but AI generated songs, so they don't even have to pay that 0.001 cent to an artist out
Right.
there.
Pretty
So
much it's
Yeah.
pretty much how I think every iHeart station sounds right now. Just
oh, good, get us banned from iHeart.
generic pablum.
Yeah.
What something I found interesting was I heard something recently that last year, what was it, like 70% of the music people bought was more than 40 years old.
Wow.
What? I mean,
That's crazy.
like, okay, so this is the kind of reason why I'm actually adding like a little bit of history to my podcast before we go into the topic, because people need to know that this was actually coming in the early 50s, right?
Right.
Right.
So now you guys are talking about this kind of stuff, and just like it was coming. Even the robots was coming.
Oh, absolutely. And I just want to point out there that it buzzed
Yeah.
and loaded on iHeartRadio. So everyone go to your iHeartRadio and give us that penny.
You're right. Right.
I just had to check, and they're okay, bad mouthing iHeart, and we're on iHeart.
Give us
Now,
that.
I know the radio is in the process of changing things
Yeah.
around. I mean, they're changing. They were in a slowly changing before COVID. Then after COVID, it really had to do some changing around.
Yes.
And so I'm still kind of part of that world. I'm looking at it, but I'm not paying much attention to it, because I wanted to still be in a radio. I want this show to be on a radio station, but I don't think it's going to happen because of what's about to happen to radio.
And I think with radio, because I started off, I have a broadcast engineering license, and I've done radio for 25 years, and I had a fairly popular internet radio show for 7 years. So I've seen a lot of changes there, but what happened is you consolidated into a handful of music conglomerates owning stations that used to be independent, where a disc jockey could put on 20 songs in a shift of something they personally love on top of the hits and whatnot. I was a producer at KBSG, the oldies station in Seattle, for a
Okay.
long time. Disc jockey named Danny Holiday,
I remember him.
and yep, he was married to the woman. Just call me Angel of the
Oh
Morning,
yeah, yeah,
but whatever
Yeah,
her
yeah, yeah.
Marilee Rush.
yeah.
Well,
Merrily
this
Rush.
guy in a 4 hour shift was allowed one 3 minute and 20-second or shorter song that he could program in. Other than that, everything was that scheduled and
Wow.
told, and it was really disheartening. It broke my heart a little. And this is a guy who had been around in the early 60s in Seattle, and everything was what he picked and he programmed. They didn't have a program director.
Right.
And now they have focus groups, study groups, and know what? That's no different than an algorithm. Those focus groups are just human algorithms, and I like personally going in and lying in those algorithms just to throw. I'm an anarchist, so I'll throw, I look like, oh, that guy probably has a white collar job, blah blah blah. But I'm a punk anarchist. I would burn this down if I could, but not for my grandkids. I love them.
Okay.
Yep.
Hey, Buzz, we haven't heard from you. So what about you? Do you want me to repeat the question?
I pretty much agree with Rob all the way. Um, I think people are going to do what they do, but the computer generated stuff really is just not going to take the place of the human created stuff. And yeah, the whole like you said, human algorithms of the study groups and everything. I always think about Frank Zappa and a great quote that he said back in the 80s. He said, the music industry was way better off when it was run by old farts that were sitting in an office chomping on cigars that didn't honestly have a clue what was going on. They just took stuff and they took a risk. And they would say, "What the hell is this, Sherm? I don't know. They look like all the other hippies out on the street. What the
Yeah.
hell? Let's let's put 100,000 copies out there and see what happens."
Yeah.
He said, that's how great bands got out there. He said, and then eventually it morphed into these college educated snots who thought they were the central scrutinizer of taste for the entire nation. And they're sitting there going, no, that's not, no, I'll choose that one. And
Yeah.
yeah, I said, we'd be so much better off if we could go back to the old dudes and their cigars that would take a risk and just throw out everything that came across their desk to see what would happen.
Yeah,
Right.
the spaghetti against the wall theory. See if
Yeah.
one or two of the noodles stick.
Yep.
And getting back to that, that reminds me of, I was around for, in Canada, we didn't have MTV. We had a station called Much Music. It came out about a year after MTV. And being the great student I was, I skipped off school the first day it happened just to watch it. Excuse me. And right there and then, I said, "Oh my God, all those ugly artists, those poor bastards in Kansas, they're going away." As soon as it became a visual medium and not where you had your headphones on and you kind of, you know, listened and you made your image of what the band looked like, all of a sudden you saw a bunch of guys who, wow, you look at them and go, "Oh, I don't know about them." And then you get a pretty band like Def Leppard next, and
Right.
Right.
okay, they're going to be superstars. Oh, those are going to be photogenic people became superstars. And to tie in to Buzzed and Loaded, to go the 6 degrees of separation, when we founded Buzzed and Loaded, we had Roger Capps the original founding bassist of Pat Benatar's band,
Yeah, I know
with
that.
us. And guess what? He was in the second video ever played on MTV. It
Yep.
was the
I believe it.
Buggles. Radio killed the
Video killed the radio star.
and
Yeah,
then it was a Pat Benatar song.
You better run.
Yeah, You Better Run was so he was right there through all this, but he was lucky. He had Pat Benatar. She was cute. Neil Giraldo, the guitar player, was cute. He was cute. We don't talk about the drummer much. Nowhere near as handsome as Buzz. So Myron was a good drummer, but on the look scale, he was just
Myron's an awesome dude.
and an amazing drummer. But see what I'm saying? So people could say, well, is AI different than that? When, you know,
right,
it's an argument to be said, but still, ugly people making good music still persisted even through that era when things became so um, just we were one big photo op in our pink frilly spandex
Right.
and pirate shirts and stuff. And it maybe I'm that guy who was like my stoner brother from the '70s going, oh, I don't, those aren't real men, blah blah blah. Maybe I'm him now, crapping on AI, but
maybe.
I don't think so because I know what it takes to do a song from start to finish. And I may give Buzz 25 different mixes of a song till he'll say, you know what, maybe the bass should be up. And if no, maybe your vocals need to be down, maybe. So we go back and forth. And we know for every song on an album, that might be 30 hour worth of work and just the mixing and mastering part of it. So I would be very sad if AI replaced that experience because it's a bonding experience with my
Right,
bandmates of trying to decide, well, is this the best? Is in if all of a sudden the algorithm says, oh nope, this is perfect, no need to ever change. That's a sad
right.
day for me.
And Buzz, what about you?
Got so lost in that. What was the question?
I had a feeling of asking that. All right. I forgot. Oh. In your opinion, what's going to feel the biggest impact, indie artists or the big name masses?
You know,
Resources.
I think it's going to be a bit of both. I think people are going to be stealing from indie artists because
Yeah,
indie artists don't have the money to sue you.
true.
And
Yeah.
they're also going to be stealing the great stuff from big known artists. They'll be pinching bits here and there. They go, oh, I want play this Eddie Van Halen guitar solo in here, and we want to do this, and we want to do that. I think it's going to be spread out a bit here and there, but yeah. And as far as like usage, I think indie artists are going to be swiping stuff and
Yeah.
utilizing it more than the big guys. The big guys, they don't need it, unless
Right.
those central scrutinizers of taste that run the record labels decide, you know what, you're just not appealing to the soy boy latte people. You need to do this a little bit differently, and here's how we'll do it. We'll just push this button, and 2 minutes and
Make
40
it work.
seconds will generate. Yeah.
Alrighty. Number 6. If a song slaps, do fans even care if AI generated it? Or will people always crave the human element?
I think let's take a song like Uptown Funk. It's
Okay.
an undeniable pop masterpiece, but it has elements of a lot of other bands. And, I think there might have been some lawsuits involved with that, just like Robin Thicke with his Blurred Lines song, where he ended up losing about 35% of it to the family of the deceased songwriter that it was kind of lifted from. But honestly, if I'm in a bad mood, I'll throw on a song like Uptown Funk. And I know it might have parts lifted from others. And then in that moment, when I need a upbeat pop classic like that, I'll I myself, even knowing that I lean more against AI and stuff, if something came out like that, I probably would give it a pass if I was in the right mood. So
Okay.
I'm my own devil's advocate here. That I think that I would be wishy-washy on some stuff.
All
Yeah,
right. What about you? What about you, Buzz?
yeah. I think it has its place, and I think, like you said, in light, fluffy pop stuff like Bruno Mars and whatnot,
Yeah,
that will send people running for the dance floor just like they used to for disco music in 1976. You know, I think it has its place. I think there will always be that a sector though of listeners who go, this just doesn't have any soul. This just doesn't,
Right.
like people who today who are still like, I love the album and I have to have it on vinyl because vinyl just sounds warmer and more earthy than a CD or a download. Those are two just clean and generic, and you can literally feel it. And if you hear a click or a pop, that's a bonus. You know,
yeah.
you want that. So I think there's always going to be that sector that wants the human thing.
But you're asking if you think that the masses are gonna, if the song's slapping, if they're gonna, really care. A generation from now, I would say that they aren't gonna care.
No. No.
Probably not. 20 years from now, they won't
Yeah.
even know real bands existed because all the good
Right.
players will be dead.
And you know what? It's gonna be like I've been to some stuff that I'm not, super well versed on, like an opera or to the symphony. And I'll tell you, I might not know what the hell is going on, but it's done with such vigor and passion that I get caught up in it, even though it's not my normal genre of listening. There's something about those human beings. I don't
Yep.
think I could be there with 20 laptops playing cellos and French horns and all that, making music and have that experience. There's something about hearing them even tune up, like just doing their little
Yeah.
bows tuning up. And so, I think there will always be that element of people who once they experience it, it changes you. But if you grow up and you don't have an experience like that, I could see where AI, it just wouldn't matter.
Right.
Right.
Right. What about you, Buzz? Anything else want to add to that? No? Okay.
Nope.
All right. Number 7. Do you see AI as a tool you can collaborate with or a competition trying to take a place of your pie, your apple pie, or peach pie?
I'm thinking it's both.
Both?
I'm thinking it could indeed be a tool, just for, to finish that John Lennon song,
Yeah.
or to give Val Kilmer the opportunity to do the Top Gun sequel. I think it can be a very good tool. I mean, that we couldn't have even imagined 20 years ago. But
Right.
there's also, yeah, I think there's also folks out there who are probably hoping and praying to take the human element out of pop music so it can all be centrally controlled in
Right.
one little think tank, and they'll be the ones creating that 3 minutes and 18 seconds that they decide you need to hear.
Yeah.
Right.
And I agree. And not to belabor the point, but I'm 100% in agreement with Buzz said. I don't really have anything to add to that. It's just he kind of succinctly summed it up for me too.
Okay. Well, I'll say my 2 cents with the AI. So I mentioned I use Chat
Right.
GBTI for some of my tools, and I was encouraged to use that in college. Well, I didn't really feel comfortable with it, but when I did my quizzes, I put the quiz in there. But the thing is, I actually learned as I was answering the questions. Of course, half the time I got it wrong anyway, which is fine. I don't care. But I learned something, and so I was having a really hard time getting my business plan done because I was
Right.
like still not sure what to put in a business plan. So it's like, well, let's see what GPTI has to say. And so um my business plan is now done because of that tool.
Well, then that's perfect.
I got everything done. Yes, I call her a she. She's Miss Chitty Chat, and she knows everything about my business. If I actually croak now, she can come up here and do my show because she knows my show.
There you
She knows
go.
my business. She's like a silent partner that I really needed to get me to where I'm at right now.
Right.
So my Chat GPTI was actually a great tool for me to actually get me where I'm going. So collaborating with AI was great.
Yeah. And
You
I
know,
told you I use it for the drum parts. I'm
right?
taking buzzes, but once I get it down, it's actually even good for Buzz because when he's playing along with it, he's remembering exactly what he came up with and he created in the first part with it. So is some merit to it,
Yeah,
but I think even in business and stuff like that, I think artificial intelligence has a greater role in that. It's passion. It's stuff. If you were, let's say, you're a poet, um, you wouldn't want to use it to create a poem with you. But a
right.
business plan, perfect. That
Perfect.
that
Yeah.
is that is a perfect thing.
Yeah, because Chatty, she basically taught me what a launch pad was. I go, what's a launch pad? And so she gave me an outline of what a launch pad is, and I went and Googled it to see what I can do with it. Shoot, I can do a lot of stuff with launch pad. We're making t-shirts out of it now. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's great for business, and I just haven't really tested out the AI music things yet, but I can probably go check it out and see what it's all about. But I have no interest in checking out the song stuff, not yet anyway.
No, and that might change, and that might change for
Yeah,
Buzz and I. I tell you something. If I had an instance where I couldn't play guitar for years because I had nerve damage in my hands. Well, I still had musical thoughts. If it helped me in that case create something, then maybe I'd have a different experience with it now. But I didn't. I did painful PT to get where I could hold a pick again and then do 5 minutes and then build up from there. But I think it's all your personal choice. But when it starts infringing on other people's choices, it's like
right,
anything in life. You want to marry a bobcat? Go marry a bobcat. I'm fine, but don't invite me to feed it. That's my
right,
saying. But it's like that with artificial intelligence. If you need to use it, or if it makes you better at what you're doing, I don't have a right to tell you not to do it. But if you start
right,
taking the livelihood away from said actor or said musician or
right.
said producer, then that's when it's different. But most of us will never be super famous or anything. I'm happy with the level of minor level of success Buzz and I have been able to have. And but some people they need the more and the more and the more. And I think they're
Right,
willing to compromise some of their because it's an ethical and a moral question of what you're willing to give up. And it was always that way in the music business, anyways. You go down to the crossroads. Are you giving your soul to the devil?
Yep.
Maybe.
right.
He refused mine outright. I tried. He said, your soul is bad, very bad.
All right, Buzz, what about you? Do you feel it is a collaboration or a competition to take your pie?
Oh, yeah. I think it is a useful tool. and hopefully it will not become the competition for working musicians that it could become. That's the one downside I see of it is, enough people will go, well, hell, we don't need them guys. We can just create the crap ourselves on this here fancy Apple doodad,
Yep.
and they can just stay home and smoke all the dope they want. And we can write it and we can keep all the money and screw them,
Yep.
Right. Right. Right.
which, goes right back to this, hand in hand with what could happen in the movie industry.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I've got the rights to Johnny Depp's likeness and his voice. So,
Why not?
yeah.
Ah, Johnny Depp. He's so hot. I had to say, I had to be there. All right. How about the ownership is a big one. If you use AI to help create your track, who owns it? You, the software, or no one?
I bet you if you read the fine print, it's the software. I think I've heard that's what the issue is. And right now, the only thing that owns anything of me is my wife. She owns me. And I'm okay with that because she cooks really well and she's a wonderful lady. But other than that, I don't want my software to own my creative abilities. As
Yeah.
limited as they might be sometimes, they're still my abilities. And that's why it's funny. Somebody might love Frank Sinatra's voice, someone else might love Courtney Love's voice. That's where it's subjective. But with AI, the moral and ethical solutions and whatnot, they're pretty cut and dry. You have to know that if you're like you pose to us here, I know that deep down somewhere in something I clicked, they own whatever I put through it. So
Right.
you
Right.
know, and sadly, I think that's what it's going to be.
Okay. Buzz,
Yep,
what
they
about
own it.
you?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I completely agree with that. Um, yeah, I can't even think anything to add there. It's just,
No.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right. Right. All right. Well, that's all the questions I have. Do you guys want to ask anything else to these questions, or I can go find more?
No, I think that's good. My battery status is 11%. I actually picked up I have my laptop sitting on a towel so I wouldn't scratch up the nice dining room table, but I forgot to bring my power supply in the room. So I'm holding
Oh
it up so it
no!
doesn't heat up and suck the battery life out of it. No, I love this. This has been a great talk. Actually, I think this is one of the best interviews we've ever had.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You did a fantastic job. You,
Thank you.
young lady, do not need anyone else in your co-pilot chair.
I
You
was
don't.
I was
Thank
going
you.
to I was going to say that you host a radio show quite nicely all by yourself, you little pixie.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Before we close out this show and you run out of juice there, Mr. Rob, let's name off all the all the movies that actually go through AI. Which some reason the list does not say war games, which I'm very sad about that. It did not say war games. Maybe because it's so
Really?
old. I don't know. But we got the Matrix, which all know about the Matrix.
Oh,
All of them.
absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
100% AI. Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
Her I never heard of before. Her in the
Oh,
2013 is a romantic drama film about a lonely man who falls in love with his AI operating
I
system.
I did see that, but I was very drunk when I saw that. But I
Yeah,
did
I don't
see
think I
that.
remember that. Unless I did see that one and she turns violent. I think is what the computer went violent.
What was it
Oh,
called?
I don't, call
her.
her.
You know what? Yeah, that sounds really familiar.
Hmm.
Might have seen it.
All right. All right. There's also Matcha, a machine, X Machine. 2014, a cycle theater thriller film about a programmer who invented a test the human likeness android created by his boss.
Okay.
All
Nope.
right.
No.
And we all know all about the Terminators.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Every one
Those are
single one of
perfect.
them. Yeah. iRobot. We know about
Yes.
iRobot. There's another one called Free Guy. Actually,
Nope.
Free Guy is brand new. Came out in 2021. It's a comedy film about a bank teller who discovers that his is a non-player character in a video game.
Nope. Never. Nope. Not familiar with
No?
that at all.
Yeah, there are like tons of different movies out there that displays AI. I mean, there's also Mitchell's in the Machine, a cartoon. Love that
Yeah.
cartoon. That the new one's supposed to be coming out here soon. I'm waiting for it. So that is all I have for you guys. So
Excellent.
I gotta do two more things with you guys. We have
Sure.
time, Rob? Okay.
I have 9%, so let's rock it.
Okay. Okay. The hot seat. Guys, ask me one question each.
Okay.
Rob, you go first in case before you die.
Okay.
Not you, but your computer.
Oh my. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you asked me. The hot seat asking me a question.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, my bad. I said it
Okay, now
fast.
I was confused there. Okay, if you had a choice between seeing your favorite band having new music recreated by AI in your favorite band that's either disbanded or dead, or having to go out and watching hundreds of bands to find a new band to love, which one would you prefer? Is it instant gratification or going out and doing the big long search?
I'll go search for it. It's
Oh,
fun.
okay.
I like the search.
See, the chase is better than the catch, to quote Motorhead.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, Buzz. So basically, this is the hot seat where I turn things around, where you ask me the questions. I said it so fastly because I'm hurrying up because of Rob. So you can ask me one question.
Okay. If someone came up with a bit of software that would allow you to have some AI sidekick interactive with you on your show, would you want to have it?
Why
Oh,
not? I wouldn't mind giving it a shot. See where it goes.
okay.
Why not? I think it'd be kind of fun having the AI learn something. You
So like
know.
if you could have like Johnny Depp sitting there as
Oh, don't
Sparrow.
get me started, Mister Johnny Depp. I don't even think I can actually do my show if a likeness of Johnny Depp right here.
I just want to, before my computer dies, I just want to thank everyone who's tuned in and watched us and listened to our talk today.
Absolutely.
And I hope that sometime in the next 5 years we can come back on and see where, maybe pick this up and see where we are in 5 years. Maybe our robot overlords won't allow that to happen.
Or
Maybe not.
maybe our computer generated likenesses will be sitting here instead of us.
Our
Right.
holograms, our Ronnie
Right.
J and Deal hologram.
Oh my gosh. All
Hell.
right. So plug your guys. So where can we find you guys?
At buzzedandloaded.com, at check out Old Drunken Buzzards. It's not, I
It's
forget the website because I
it's
did create
odbcountry.com.
perfect. And find us on Facebook. I'm Robert Trissino. There's only two in the world, and I'm not the British eight ball player.
Okay. Got it. All right. Anything else?
No, thank you.
You're welcome. And
Thank
thank you for
you.
thank you for the compliment for I can do this on my own. I do
You can.
appreciate it.
You,
I'm having fun with it.
Our
it was a
pleasure.
blast. It was a fun topic, and you did it. You hosted it perfectly.
Thank you guys. I appreciate
Rocked
that.
it.
Thank you guys.
Thanks
All
so
right.
much.
See you guys later.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thanks for listening to Let's Talk About the Music. I hope you enjoyed today's topic. Remember, the show is more than just a podcast. It's a multimedia experience. You can enjoy the content as a blog, a both audio and visual format. Stay tuned to connect with other conversation. If you like what you hear, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that subscribe button, as that way you'll never miss an episode. Also, be sure to sign up for our newsletter for our latest update and exclusive content. Until next time, grab your headphones or tune in visually, and let's keep that music journey together. Let's talk music, because the music is everywhere.